This is a simple demo WordPress website that I created about 10 minutes ago, and this website is performing really well. I do some testing on the Google PageSpeed Insight, and it's got almost a perfect score on performance, accessibility, and best practices. Maybe the SEO score is not very high because I didn't spend enough time on configuring an SEO setting for this website, but for everything else, it looks amazing. And the best part is that I didn't pay anything to create this website. So this website is hosted on the internet and I pay pretty much $0. And this is indeed a WordPress website. I can show it to you by right-clicking on the page and click View Page Source, and you'll see that there are some elements or some WordPress plugin that appear on the page source. So this is a WordPress website, except this has been converted into something called static website. Now, static website is essentially just a shell of a website. It's actually very simple. It only consisted of just HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. You can think of it like a shop that showcases a lot of products, but there is no transaction can be made. In some cases, it might be desirable. It could be a place for people to come, see the products, and do some testing, but transaction maybe can be done somewhere else. And that's what makes a static website very enticing in some cases. On top of not paying hosting, you are getting blazing performance that no WordPress hosting can match. It is only possible because the technology behind it is pretty simple. And so I'm going to show you on how you can create a WordPress static website and deploy it for free. But I'm going to be honest with you, this is definitely not for everyone. If you are creating a website with regular updates, then I highly recommend to just stick with WordPress. But if you have a website that you are no longer updating for years, or you're just creating a website for a company profile or a portfolio, then this is probably the best kind of WordPress website that you can build. I will also show you pros and cons of using this technology as a website to replace WordPress, and I'm going to cover that along the way. Anyway, with that being said, let's get into the tutorial. Okay, before I'm showing you the process, I think it is worth mentioning that the speed on the static website is going to be way faster than a dynamic WordPress website. I have deployed a lot of static websites before, and I never got any score that is less than 90. So this is at least the bare minimum that you will get when you're switching from a regular WordPress website into a static WordPress website. So right now, in order to create a static website, you have to log into your WordPress dashboard and go to plugins and click add new plugin. There will be a plugin that we are going to use to turn the traditional WordPress website into a static website. The name of the plugin is Simply Static. Just search the plugin name and you should be able to find the plugin called Simply Static and just click install. Once the plugin has been installed, you can click the activate button. Now let's navigate to Simply Static, and here Simply Static will usually show you some diagnostic problems. So before you can convert the website, you need to make sure that some problems are solved. So in this case, Simply Static recommends to disable the caching plugin before you converting or generating the static website version of your WordPress website. This is just one recommendation, and depending on the website that you have, you could have multiple errors happening, and I cannot cover all of that because it could be unique for everyone. But I highly recommend to just do your best to reduce the amount of errors in the diagnostic page. So in this case, I have to disable the caching plugin, so I have to go ahead and select the plugin that I have to deal with. I'm going to disable the caching plugin, and I'll be back to the Simply Static plugin to proceed with the next step. All right, let's go back to Simply Static, and I'm going to make sure that there is no error before generating the static version of the website. So far so good, everything is green. But before we continue, there are a few things that I think it is worth mentioning. So first, if you go to the form section right here, you'll see that there are going to be some features in WordPress that used to be common but will become unavailable if you are creating the static version of your WordPress website. One of them is the form. So since the static website has no database whatsoever, the use of forms will become impossible. So you need to find another way to allow your visitor to have a contact to you. But I think this is not really a problem because you can use something like WhatsApp or Telegram to direct your visitors to have a contact with you. And then comments is also not possible unless, of course, if you are willing to pay for the Simply Static Pro, which will offer extra features. But if you actually check the pricing page of the Simply Static Pro, you will see that it's really too expensive. At least for me, it just doesn't make any sense. At the moment, it's going to cost you $99 for one website per year. So I think it's just way more expensive than many hostings out there. Anyway, let's go back to Simply Static. And another feature that is going to become unavailable is the search feature. It is the same. It is using database, and that's why we cannot use it on the static website. And also there are a few extra optimization that is going to be disabled. Actually, disabled is not the right word. It's more like unnecessary, because static website is already blazing fast, and that's why the optimization is often not necessary anymore. And when you're done, you can go back to the activity log right here, and when you're ready, you can click the generate static files. Now we just need to wait until the plugin is creating the static version of the website. Don't worry, this is not going to convert your active website. This is just creating a copy of your website, but it's going to be a more streamlined version of it. This process could take anywhere between just a few minutes up to an hour, depending on the size of your website. And when you're done, you can click the download button to get the static files that we are going to upload to a different platform. Okay, the two platforms that I highly recommend when deploying your static WordPress website is Netlify and Cloudflare. So these two are the best. They are the most intuitive, and you don't have to know much about GitHub or any technical know-how on deploying a website on these two platforms, because you can just drag and drop the file into any of these platforms. So you can go with Netlify or Cloudflare, but for this tutorial, I'm going to be selecting Cloudflare because I'm already too familiar with Cloudflare. Let's click login. After that, you want to go to the workers and pages section, and then click the create button right here. After that, you want to navigate to the pages section and click upload assets. We are not going to be using Git. Again, we are going to just drag and drop the zip file that we have created using Simply Static into Cloudflare. Click upload assets. Now we have to give it a name to your static WordPress website. I'm going to call this one demo-np, and Cloudflare will assign that to this domain name. Don't worry, this is something that you can change later. After that, click create project, and here's the fun part. We're going to upload the static file into this area. I'm going to click and then drag this file into this area, and Cloudflare will immediately upload the zip file. Once the upload process is finished, you can click deploy site, and Cloudflare will start building the website based on the files that you have provided. Cloudflare has successfully deployed the website, but this website is not ready yet. If you open the link, it will lead you to this error page, and it's usually just a temporary problem which only lasts maybe between 5 to 10 minutes. So you just need to wait and go back to this link, and hopefully the website will be ready. All right, it's been about 5 minutes, and I will try the link again, and hopefully the website is ready. And yeah, there you go. So this is the static version of this WordPress website. It looks exactly the same because after all, this is based on a WordPress website. And of course, the other pages like the blog post, the contact page, the privacy policy page, everything was still working normally, except of course the comment section, forms, the search feature as well. They are not going to work, but everything else is going to look exactly the same. At least from your visitor standpoint, everything is look exactly as the same as in the traditional WordPress website. And regarding the domain name, you can always set a custom domain name for the static website on Cloudflare. So I'm going to click continue to project, and there will be a dashboard for the static website on the Cloudflare right here. You can click custom domains, and then here you can set up a custom domain. You can either buy a domain from Cloudflare, or you can also just point a domain from a third-party provider into your Cloudflare static website. Okay, I'm not going to cover all of that because I think the documentation is pretty clear, and I believe a lot of you already know on how to do it. But the question is, how about if you want to update something on a website? What if you want to change something, or maybe you want to add another page or a new blog post on the static website? Well, you can still do that. Here's how. Let's say I'm going to customize this website. I'm going to change the theme, or I'm going to change the look of the website into something something that is a little different. I'm going to edit this page. This is the home page, and let's change the color into something else. Let's try let's say red color, because I think it looks very prominent. Now it used to be blue or purple, I don't really remember, but now it is red. Let's click save, and after that we are going to regenerate the static version of the website using the Simply Static plugin. So essentially, every time you want to do something, or every time you want to update something on the website, you have to recreate the static version of the website. And if you're only doing this maybe once a month, I think this could be worth it. And once the new version of the website has been recreated, you can download the zip file once again, and then we are going to upload this new zip file into the Cloudflare static website. Now let's go back to Cloudflare, and in order to deploy a new version of the website, you have to click the create deployment button right here. Okay, this is the new zip file, and I'm going to drag and drop it right here. And now there are two options. There is production, and then there is also preview. So production is essentially when you upload or when you deploy this version of the website, this will be becoming the main version of the website. So when people visit the link of your static website, they're going to see this version. But if you put this into a preview, this is essentially like putting it into a draft and you can deploy it later. This is very good if you want to perform some testing before you deploying this version of the website to a production. But for me, I'm confident enough, so I'm going to select production and click save and deploy. So we are going to get this new updated version of the website. Remember, the website look like this. It has blue or maybe purple accent color, and the new version will have red accent color. And there you go. This is the old version and this is the new version. You see that the URL stays the same because after all, this is the same website. And if you don't like the new version of the website, you can always roll back to the previous version. Let's go back to Cloudflare again. I'm going to open the dashboard, and then here you will see all the list of the deployments that you have made for the static website. So this is, for example, this is the main deployment. It just updated about 3 minutes ago, and I can always go back to the initial version. I can click roll back to this deployment, and the website will have the blue accent again. So this is the new version and this is the old version. But since I deployed to the old version, if I refresh the page, now it will go back to the blue accent again. So that is the benefit of using a static website. Going back is really easy, and if you ever made a mistake on the page or you want to roll back something, just go back to the previous deployment and everything will be set. But then how this method is going to make the hosting cost cheaper, given that we still need an active WordPress installation to make any update for the static WordPress website? Well, that's kind of true, but there is an alternative. You can technically just delete your WordPress, your active WordPress installation, if you're sure that you want to go to the static version. But I highly recommend to back up everything in case you change your mind and want to go back to the traditional version of WordPress. But in order to not paying for the hosting anymore, I do recommend using a local WordPress installation. So you can go to a website like localwp.com and then install this program that allows you to have a local WordPress installation in your computer. So every time you want to make any change, you can do it local in your computer, and then you can use the Simply Static plugin again to create a static version of the WordPress website to be deployed to Cloudflare. At least that's one simple way to have this work around. So the easiest option, in my opinion, is by using local WordPress. But there is also another option that is a bit too technical, but maybe better than this option, and it is called Headless WordPress. So I personally never tried Headless WordPress before. I'm still learning how to deploy this technology on WordPress, but essentially the promise is you can use or you can manage your website using WordPress. Like you can use Gutenberg editor, you can have a lot of WordPress plugins and themes, but at the end of the day, your WordPress website will become a static website, and you are able to create a new page, create a new post normally like when you're using WordPress, but all those pages, all the elements and your website will become a static website. If you are interested, I'm going to provide the link of this tutorial in the video description so you can check it out. But in my opinion, if you are still updating your WordPress website daily or regularly, maybe once a week, then I highly recommend to just use the good old WordPress website. It might not be perfect, it still consumes a lot of resources and you have to pay hosting. But if you are updating this very often, then there is no other way. I think it's just better to just use the traditional WordPress installation. But just because WordPress is inherently complex and can have a lot of plugins doesn't mean it has to be slow. So I actually have made a tutorial video on how you can make any WordPress website blazing fast by reducing the amount of plugins without affecting functionalities. If you are interested, you can check out this video and I'll see you there.